Law enforcement at the First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, Texas, on Monday. Todd Heisler, New York Times. Colorado Springs. The 26-year-old gunman who entered a rural Texas church with a ballistic vest and a military-style rifle, killing at least 26 people on Sunday, had been trailed by trouble for years. Devin Patrick Kelly, a former member of the United States Air Force, had been convicted at court-martial and jailed for domestic abuse, kicked out of the military, divorced and charged with animal cruelty. In 2012, while stationed at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico, Mr. Kelly was charged with assault on his spouse and assault on their child, according to A.C. Juan Stefanek, the Air Force's chief of media operations. He was convicted at court-martial and sentenced in November of that year to 12 months confinement and reduction to the lowest possible rank, E1. After his confinement, he was discharged from the military with a bad conduct discharge. It is unclear whether his conviction would have barred him from purchasing a gun. That same year, he was divorced in New Mexico from his first wife, according to court records. When he was discharged from the Air Force in 2014, Mr. Kelly remarried in Texas to Danielle Lee Shields in April of that year, according to state records. A few months later, he registered to vote in Colorado Springs, a city with several Air Force bases, listing his address as parking space 60 at a shabby collection of trailers in a gravel lot called the Fountain Creek RV Park. A woman living in a camper next door, who gave her name only as Susan, said a man of similar age and description lived in Spot 60 for a few months during that time, but she never learned his name. He was kind of off, lived here with a woman, she said as she loaded blankets into one of the RV park's washing machines. He said hello a few times in passing but was never friendly and stayed only a few months. She never heard any arguments from his trailer. The only thing that sticks out about him was his dog, she said. He had a pit bull puppy that he kept tied up in the sun all day outside of his RV, she said. She also recalled an incident where police were called because the man had struck the dog in the head. Devin Patrick Kelly. Via Texas Department of Public Safety, the police arrived and there was a standoff for approximately an hour, she said, in which her neighbor refused to come out of his trailer. Records show Mr. Kelly was charged with cruelty to animals, a misdemeanor, in August 2014. The case was dismissed. He moved out a few weeks later, she said. Mr. Kelly, whose father, Michael Kelly, is a computer programmer and accountant, enlisted in the Air Force soon after graduating from New Braunfels High School in 2009. Devin Kelly served as a low-ranking airman in a logistics readiness battalion. A LinkedIn account in his name says he worked in cargo and distribution. By 2017 he had returned to a house in New Braunfels that records show was owned by his parents. The house was about an hour from the church where the shooting occurred. Michael Kelly, in a short biography posted on the website of his small software company, Delaware, said the family has 3 children. Devin Kelly is the middle child, building the company at the same time as our family involved a whirlwind of activity, he wrote. Lots of late hours and sacrifices. On Sunday, police cars from the Comal County Sheriff's Department lined the gunman's driveway on a rural stretch of land in New Braunfels. Wire fences kept visitors from the house, which was hidden by overgrown grass that fills the property. Signs on a cattle gate at the entrance read "No trespassing" and "Beware of dog." "I don't know anybody down there," said Sabas Gonzalez, who can see Mr. Kelly's driveway from hers. Ms. Gonzalez, 70, said she'd lived there for more than 2 decades and many of her neighbors had come over to introduce themselves when they moved in, but nobody from Mr. Kelly's home ever stopped by. "Out here, people tend to keep to themselves," said Tim Dartree, who cuts cedar for clients in the area, and lives in walking distance from Mr. Kelly's home. Mr. Dartree, 40, said the town was mostly uneventful, as far as crime goes. "I see a barroom fight every now and then, but never no shootings." Natalie Kittreff contributed reporting from New Braunfels, Texas, and Jack Begg contributed research from New York.